Welcome to another round of the Steward's Table where every dollar has an assignment and we manage money by being diligent, responsible, trustworthy, and efficient. So for today's video, I want to discuss a way in which people gauge whether or not they can truly afford something. So think about in the past when you made a relatively large purchase. Maybe you bought a new car, maybe you bought a new laptop, maybe you bought something expensive, maybe even you took a vacation, right? Like you spent a couple $1,000s, let's say, on a purchase. How did you gauge whether or not you can afford this expense? So that's the question I want to wrap my head around today, discuss that here on the whiteboard. As you can see, can I afford it? How are people figuring out for themselves, can I afford this purchase or not? Now, for the average person that I see, and I used to do this as well, so I lump myself in this category. The average person, when it comes to can I afford this purchase or not, they're not looking at how much money is in their bank account. They're not really even assessing how much money they make on a monthly basis. What they're really gauging if they can afford this purchase or not, they're looking at the minimum payment. The minimum payment has become this barometer, so to speak. It's become the gauge. It's become the North Star as to whether or not you can afford to purchase this item. And what I'm seeing from time and time again, this thought process here, using the minimum payment as this indicator of if you can afford this purchase or not, becomes very damaging for a lot of people financially. It tends to set people back further behind than what they actually thought was going to happen. So if we were to break this down in just easy to understand, simple terms, let's just say you have a MacBook Pro, right? You're an Apple user. However, your current MacBook Pro, it's a few years old now, and you are someone who wants to upgrade. You want something new. You want the new flashy toy, something that's going to process speed better, allow you maybe even to edit your videos for YouTube or whatever you do for your work a little bit quicker. And so you realize this new MacBook is going to cost you out the door, let's call it $2,400. That's the sticker price. It's cost you $2,400 for this Mac. Now, you already know, just based on the way in which you're living, based on how you currently manage money, you know, month over month, I do carry some credit card debt that's outstanding, and I haven't fully paid it off yet. I am at times somewhat living paycheck, right? Paycheck to paycheck. That is your reality at times. And yeah, your bills are paid on time. You pay your rent, you pay your phone bill, you pay your auto loan. You're never late on those things. But when it comes to being able to shell out $2,400 all at once for a MacBook Pro, you do not have the funds to do it. You don't have the money in savings whatsoever. And so what you look at is say, if the sticker price is $2,400, the minimum payment, if I put it on a payment plan, it's only going to cost me, let's just say for the sake of this whiteboard example, it's only going to cost me $114 a month. All you have to pay is $114 every single month to take this item home, this new MacBook Pro. When you walked in the store, you knew exactly which one you wanted. You knew the color that you wanted it in. You knew the make and the exact model. And now that they have it, you recognize I can't afford $2,400, but I can afford $114 each and every month. And so what do? You say, charge it, ring it up. I want it. Now you have a bill of $114 every single month that you'll be paying off for a few months, probably with interest as well. Now, here is why this is problematic. With this purchase, and I'm going to put it on the side, $114 a month for this MacBook Pro. Here's why this becomes troublesome for a lot of people. When you made this particular purchase here, when you bought this MacBook Pro, what you did not do is take account, I'm going to write it slow. You did not take account for your entire financial picture. You did not look at your entire financial picture to really gauge if this was a smart decision for you long term. So what do I mean by your entire financial picture. All adults, we have various types of purchases that we are going to make. And if I were to break those up in like subcategories, you as an adult, you are paying for, let me write it out right here. You are paying for a few things. You're paying for fixed expenses. You're paying for variable expenses. Some of you have debt, so you're paying off debt minimums as well. You have debt minimums that you at least have to cover. You're paying for annual expenses, and I'll break these down as well in a second. You're paying for holiday expenses, and you're also paying for event type expenses. So in a given year, month over month, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different expense types. So if we were to break this down and really see exactly, well, what do we mean by fixed, variable, debt minimums, annual, holiday, and events? What does that actually look like in totality with your entire financial picture? So you can see right here on the screen, I've broken up all of these various expenses right here on the whiteboard. And now we can really see in a clear picture where exactly is your money going to. Now, this is just an example. Obviously, your expenses would look completely different from what you see on the screen, but this at least paints the picture to tell us, does it actually make sense to buy a MacBook Pro that's costing $114 a month or a sticker price of $2,400? So you can see when it comes to your fixed expenses, right? A fixed expense, that's an expense that does not change in price. It's the same month over month. So if you take your rent, as we can see right here, for this example, rent is costing $1,800 every single month. So January to February to March to April to May, that expense is not going to fluctuate in price. It's going to stay the same. So you as an adult, you have your fixed expenses. You're paying your rent. You're paying for your Xfinity, right? That's internet or cable. A lot of you are paying for subscriptions. That's a fixed expense. So the Netflix and the Peacock, these are your fixed expenses you're paying for month over month. So we understand fixed expenses. That's one expense type you're going to have to come out of pocket for, right? That being said, you have variable expenses next. So these are expenses that fluctuate in price. They do not stay the same month over month. So you can see in our example, groceries. How much you pay for groceries one month may look completely different the next month. How much you pay on dining out in restaurants one month may look completely different the next month. The same is true for the gas that you put in your vehicle. These prices, they fluctuate month over month, but the average person has these exact variables here, whether you're tracking them or not. Most people that I see have at least these areas here that they're coming out of pocket for. So you're buying groceries every single pay period. You're going out to eat. It doesn't matter if you're going to a sit-down restaurant or you buy Starbucks or you do DoorDash, whatever the case may be. Most people that I see are eating out every single month, and to add insult to injury, they're spending rent prices. It is not uncommon for people to spend over $1,000 a month just on eating out, plus groceries as well. That's another, let's call it $600, $700. No judgment here. You use your money how you use your money, right? How you use your money is an extension of what exactly you value. And all our values are different. That's the beauty of personal finance. It is personal. But we're also making mention of this because when you're looking at buying a MacBook Pro for $114, the question soon becomes, can you afford it based on your lifestyle cost currently? You also have your credit card debt minimums, right? Debt minimum payments are a major thing. We have some good, hardworking people out here spending hundreds of dollars, $500, $600, $1,400 that's due in just debt minimum payments. We're not even talking about paying the debt off aggressively. We're just saying just to make the minimum payment month over month, there's people out here having to pay $1,300, $1,400 just to stay afloat, to pay the minimums on their debt. So that's another expense that you have to account for when you're looking at your entire financial picture. Now, if we can look at our whiteboard, I'm just going down the list here. We have what are called annual expenses. Annual expenses, these are expenses that you pay roughly once per year. And I call these your out of sight, out of mind expenses because you don't interact with these expenses every single month like you pay for your rent or you pay for your groceries. Because they're so infrequent, we don't think about them. They're not top of mind. So when they pop up in our lives, now we feel caught off guard and we're not financially prepared to take care of these expenses. So what are these annual expenses? So I have a list here. Taxes. If you pay for a CPA, you pay your CPA once per year to file your taxes and do that for you. That comes at a cost. Or your credit card fees. Some of you have certain types of credit cards that have an annual fee attached to it. And sometimes that fee can be $200 to $300. That comes once per year. Car registration, that's a once per year fee as well. If you have any type of membership renewals, think Costco or think Amazon Prime. If you have any insurance renewals that you have to pay for as well. These are all once per year expenses that pop up and catch people by surprise. And then now another area to look at once we've taken care of annual expenses is holidays. Major holidays, and I have 4 here listed out. I have Mother's Day, Thanksgiving, anniversary, and Christmas. These are 4 major types of holidays that people are putting money towards every single year. And a big one that we can all attest to is Christmas. Christmas seems to catch people by surprise every single year, even though it comes at the same time every single year. We all know Christmas. We can close our eyes and say the date. We can see it in our brain. It's December 25th. We know that date like the back of our hand. But even though we can say it and we can rattle it off quickly, for some reason, when it comes to preparing for Christmas, we don't do it. When it comes to getting ahead of our Christmas shopping financially, we do not do it. A lot of folks wait last minute. And when you wait last minute and you're already check to check and you do not have your entire financial picture covered, you end up swiping credit card debt for holiday gifts. And now for most adults, you end up taking debt into the new year. And you do that year over year over year. Folks are doing this for Christmas. They're doing this for anniversary. They're doing this for Thanksgiving travel. They're doing this for Mother's Day when you take the family out to eat and you pick up the tab. You're swiping oftentimes credit cards because we did not prepare for these expenses ahead of time. One last thing, events. Let's say you have a destination wedding that you're planning on going to. And let's say there's a family getaway that you're also planning on going to as well. 2 major expenses. And we all know for traveling, it's not an inexpensive cost. It can be costly. Oftentimes we have to pay for the plane ticket and we have to pay for even our luggage. We have to pay for even the Airbnb, maybe even the rental car. While you're out there, wherever you may be, more than likely you're not cooking. If you're in a hotel, you're not cooking. Even if you're in an Airbnb, the chances of you cooking for breakfast, lunch, and dinner are very slim. You're going out to eat when you get away. So you're going to have to pay for dining out. And when you're out and about, most people like to buy souvenirs or clothes, right? So you're going to buy just miscellaneous purchases either on a destination wedding trip or on a family getaway. So if we break that down, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 different expense types for these getaways that you plan on going on. So you have money going out for your entire financial picture. Again, fixed expenses, variables, debt minimum payments, annual expenses, holiday expenses, and event payments. Now understand this, when you are looking at that MacBook Pro or whatever expense you're looking at, if you're just looking at the $114 a month minimum payment, you may be setting yourself up for disaster if you're not looking at what are all my annual expenses? And am I prepared and am I on track to having these paid off when they are due? What holidays do I plan on spending money on this year? Am I on track to having the exact amount of money that I need to celebrate these particular holidays without having to continually swipe credit card debt? What events do I have coming up? And am I sufficiently prepared financially to afford these events so I don't have to swipe credit card debt and go on these vacations? And then once I return back home, reality has smacked me in the face and I'm paying for a trip that I took 8 months ago. Don't just look at the minimum payment. Look at your entire financial picture and break the expense down in relation to how much money you are making, and then decide for yourself. Yes, I can afford it, and I'm going to make this purchase knowing good and well it's not going to set me back financially. Or oftentimes as adults, we have to make the decision to say, you know what? I'm going to delay my gratification and purchase this item at a later time. Right now is not the best time for me. So approach every situation, even when it comes to buying a MacBook Pro. Approach that situation from the mind frame of, am I being diligent, responsible, trustworthy, and efficient with managing my money? Or am I living in the moment and using my dollars in such a way where I have a minimum payment mentality? One mentality is here to serve you and drive you forward financially. The other is here to keep you held back, to keep you stressed, and to keep you stagnant financially. The choice is yours.